My name is Brian Breland, and today I'd like to present a brief treatment regarding the necessity of a supernatural being such as the God of the Bible. I understand that this may be difficult for some of you to accept, as it will challenge your previously held beliefs, and it will also challenge the so-called facts of evolutionary theory. My hope and prayer is that you will maintain an open mind, and that in the end this will challenge you to do your own research to make up your own mind. Today I'd like to present three pieces of evidence that present the necessity of the God of the Bible for our world. The first piece of evidence is that God alone makes sense of the origin of the universe. You see, there is unanimous acceptance within the field of astrophysics that sometime in the distant past that our universe began to exist. Along with that, in the same event, the natural processes of physical space, time, matter, and energy also began to exist. Now my question is it plausible for something to spring into existence out of absolutely nothing? Our logic must lead us to conclude that the answer is no. Science has for decades tried to replicate such an implausible event with absolutely no success. Now I'd like to present a logical argument for the fact that God alone makes sense of the origin of the universe. And that argument goes like this: whatever began to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. Well, we have complete and utter support from the scientific world, because the scientific world also agrees with the fact that anything that began to exist must have a cause. There's a unanimous acceptance within the field of astrophysics that the universe began to exist at some point in time. And therefore there's acceptance of the fact that the universe must have a cause. The question we must ask is, what is the nature of this cause? Well, the natural processes such as the universe, space, time, matter, and energy were all caused or all brought into existence or created. Therefore, that which brought them into existence, that which caused them or created them, must necessarily be outside of these natural processes and thus be supernatural. This is the only explanation that avoids the infinite regress of causes. William Lane Craig writes, "We have powerful reason, based on the origin of the universe, to believe that an uncaused, changeless, timeless, immaterial, personal creator of the universe exists." The second point I'd like to make is that God alone makes sense of the complexity of the universe. I'd like to begin with several astounding facts from some of our world's leading scientists. Stephen Hawking, for one, writes, "If the rate of the universe's expansion 1 second after the Big Bang had been smaller by even 1 part in 100,000 million, the universe would have recollapsed into a hot fireball." P.C.W. Davis writes, "The odds against initial conditions being suitable for later star formation, without which planets could not exist, is 1 followed by 1,000 billion zeros at least." He would go on to state, "A change in the strength of gravity or the weak force by only 1 part in 10,100 would have prevented a life-permitting universe." These are astounding facts that are incomprehensible to the human mind, and yet they are but the tip of the iceberg. Take the complexity of human life, for example, or the complexity of the human brain. Scientists have for hundreds of years tried to understand just how complex the human brain is, and yet it is still incomprehensible. Now I'd like to posit 3 possible explanations for the complexity of the universe and everything in it. The first one being that of natural law. The natural law explanation states that this complexity is absolutely necessary, and that there was absolutely no chance it could have been created otherwise. The natural law explanation simply doesn't fit with the facts that we just learned. It is obvious that those facts present us evidence that the universe could have come into being in such another possible way, and so this makes this natural law extremely implausible. The second explanation would be that of chance. And the chance explanation says that the complexity of the universe is simply an accident. That the life-permitting universe and planet that we live on makes us just the lucky recipients. Well, if the natural law explanation is extremely implausible, that makes the chance explanation even more implausible than that. The third explanation for the complexity of the universe is that of design. Well, the design explanation states that there was an intelligent being sometime in the distant past that brought into existence our universe, designed it such that it would be life-permitting. Well, of the three possible explanations, the design argument is the only one that's even plausible, and the design argument is entirely plausible. The logical argument that follows this evidence goes like this. The fine-tuning of the universe is due to either law, chance, or design. It is not due to law or chance, therefore it is due to design. William Lane Craig writes, "The design hypothesis does not share in the implausibility of its competitors and is a familiar sort of explanation we employ every day. It is therefore the best explanation of the amazing fine-tuning of our universe." The third and final piece of evidence I'd like to present is that God alone makes sense of objective moral values. Now, what are objective moral values? Well, they are values that are valid and binding whether anybody believes in them or not. For example, the Nazi Holocaust. There's universal acceptance that the Holocaust was objectively wrong, even though the Nazis disagreed. It would have been objectively wrong even if the Nazis had won the war, had brainwashed everybody on the planet to agree with them. We find other examples in that of rape, child molestation, and human sacrifice. We must admit that within each and every one of us, there is an innate sense that these are objectively and morally wrong. Well, where does this sense come from? Well, if we understand that there are some things that are objectively and morally wrong, that necessitates that we also agree that there are some things that are objectively and morally right. Right and wrong do exist. Good and evil do exist. These facts necessitate a standard for right and wrong, good or evil. That fact also necessitates that there be a standard bearer for right and wrong, good and evil, and a moral law giver. The logical argument that goes with this evidence is that if God does not exist, objective moral values do not exist. Objective moral values do exist, therefore God exists. You see, the God of the Bible stands alone as the standard bearer for right and wrong, good and evil, and the moral law giver. So in conclusion, this was by no means intended to be an exhaustive treatment. This was simply meant to persuade people to take a critical look at their currently held beliefs. I believe that an honest search for the truth will culminate in the acceptance of the God of the Bible as the only plausible explanation for all we know to be true. Thank you.